the best. When we come back, we'll get started in the heavyweight division. They're calling this the Battle of the Linebackers. Two ex-football players have it at one another, and we'll be back with that after this.
We went to the fight.
Back at Bally's and just about set to go with our first fight. Before we do, let's talk about the rules here.
Well, the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. No standing 8. Only the referee can stop the bout. The winner gets 10, the loser 9 or less. And the referee does not figure into the scoring, and the fighter can only be saved by the bell in the last round.
And so we are set to go. They're calling this one the Battle of the Linebackers. Two guys who played football. Isaman at Ohio State, Puritty at UTEP. What it all means in the great scheme of things as far as boxing is concerned is nothing.
Derek Isaman is not a football player who boxes. He's a boxer and a football player. The former Ohio State linebacker showed his skills while dismantling Corey Coulter. This 1988 Golden Gloves champ ended things in the first round. With his good technique and natural strength, Derek will be seeing this winning scene a lot in coming months. Another linebacker, UTEP's Ross Puritty, joins this scrimmage. He was less impressive in his ESPN debut. He had his moments against John Sargent, but allergy-induced fatigue slowed him down. He'll need a strong effort tonight against Derek Isaman.
And what's left is to get on with it. And to meet these two, here's Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Bally's Casino Resort here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where tonight, Top Rank Incorporated and the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, presents professional boxing for your entertainment. All the bouts tonight are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get things started with a special 4-round bout in the heavyweight division. This is the Battle of the Linebackers. The referee for this contest is Mills Lane. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he's wearing the Buckeye colors of red and silver and weighs an even 215 pounds. From Columbus, Ohio, undefeated as a professional, he's 4-0. All 4 victories by KO. Presenting from Ohio State, Derek Isaman. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the solid red trunks, weighing an even 245 pounds, from El Paso, Texas. He's 4-3 as a professional, and all 4 of his victories are by knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, from UTEP, he's solid Ross Puritty.
Okay, right, you had your instructions on this corner here now. If he goes right here, I'm not going to call it low, okay? Trunks are up here. Now, you've already had your instruction in the dress room. Any questions from you? Any questions over here? Let's get it on, come on.
So Mills Lane, in his inimitable fashion, as you look at Ross Puritty, former UTEP linebacker, taking a pretty good shot from his trainer. He said he was bothered by allergies the last time. Mark Isaman wasn't bothered by anything. He had a pretty good outing last time.
Against Corey Coulter, he was just devastating. I mean, look, had good technique and landed some really excellent punches. He's got a great jab, Isaman, and there you see him using it. He is, of these two, and it is true they both played football, certainly the one with more amateur boxing experience who is a little farther along.
Yeah, Derek Isaman told me, as opposed to Mark Isaman, which I just called him, told me this morning, told us that he actually started boxing before he started playing football.
He had a nice amateur career in which he beat Tommy Morrison, among others. Had lost a decision to Mike Tyson in the Golden Gloves. So
it was back in 1984. And you get a good look at the jab. The last time he fought, incidentally, he was very effective, landing 75% of his punches as opposed to Purity's 37.5%.
Wow. There is no truth to the rumor that the punch profile will be counting tackles during this match, though. Only an ugly rumor.
Puritty, a guy who is learning on the job by his own admission. He really wasn't a fighter until his senior year at UTEP.
And he said, you know, it's painful to get your experience as a pro. He said, but that's what I'm about. And right now he is, despite being in that defensive shell, is getting nailed with some shots. And Puritty has thrown almost nothing in this first round.
Didn't throw too many punches in his last fight either.
Only averaged 18.7. In case you're wondering what UTEP is out there, if you're not a college basketball fan, you never heard of Don Haskins and his minors. It's the University of Texas at El Paso.
That's right. It used to be Texas Western when they won the NCAA championship.
That's right. Was that in the early 60s?
Yep, beat Kentucky.
Bobby Joe Hill, wasn't that their point guard?
I saw him earlier this basketball season at a game in Little Rock. Yeah,
he's a great ball player. Boy, look at the body work that Derek Isaman is doing. I mean, it's very effective. That's what Puritty is giving him, and so he's taking it. Ross Puritty, I'm not sure if he has landed a punch yet in this round. Maybe 1 or 2, or 3 or 4, or 5 or 6. I don't know, but not too many.
Well, a pretty good first round for Derek Isaman. A little bit cautious. And as you said, Puritty, despite the defensive posture, is taking his share.
I mean, obviously, this is part of his plan, I would think. Now, there's Puritty getting off a little bit with a jab. Ross is going to have to get a little bit more offensive-minded if he wants to win this bout.
So nearing the end of round number 1, and not a bad first round for Derek Isaman, largely a round of feeling each other out.
I never saw you hit so well. I'm here in...
Call 800-367-5800 now.
Here is some body work by Derek Isaman in that last round as he comes out strong in this round.
Puritty actually charging Isaman to start the round.
Or I meant that. I meant Puritty, not Isaman.
I was the guy in the red trunks.
It was somebody. Well, gosh, look at that. And I'm wrong again. Puritty landed 8 punches in the last. His percentage was good.
Very good.
Just that he hardly threw any.
Puritty, a classic example. It doesn't necessarily just take strength to be a good boxer. He has to learn how to fight. He's a tough guy, but he has to learn how to fight.
He does have a decent jab, and and in fact, 7 of his 8 connects were jabs in the last round. He's working on other tools, and as he said, learning as a pro is painful.
Isaman's people, on the other hand, feel that it's a long process. They don't want to push him. They don't want to get him into a title shot or even a shot against a real contender that he's not ready for. And they feel that is a fate that has befallen some fighters prior to him.
He's got a very experienced and good cornerman, Joe Ferriello. You see the way he throws punches, that Isaman is a boxer. I mean, he's not just a guy that, as we said, took it up because he was a football player and thought he'd be strong. He really has good technique. And he pointed out, he said, well, I have to tell you, he said, I didn't always as an amateur. He said, you know, I throw a lot of punches and the right by Puritty, but he said, I've really developed that in the last year or so.
He said he's really still learning to relax. As an amateur, he said you get in there and you just have to throw as many punches as you can because that's what counts. And as a professional, you can take the time, set down on your punches, and try to set your man up a little bit more. It's a very different sport.
Now, Ross Puritty has decided that Isaman's jab leaves him a chance to throw the lead right after the jab, and he's tried it on 3 different occasions, but hasn't gotten that punch there. But look for that in the future here. If Isaman does leave his jab low after he brings it back, Puritty may land one of those rights.
A little reddening under the left eye of Derek Isaman, also a little bit of swelling. And that's the kind of thing that were this more than a 4-round fight, you might have to consider as a potential problem. Not likely, though, in a short fight like this. Left hand by Puritty.
Good jabs. And that's his best weapon right now as a pro. Derek Isaman walked into another left hand, even though he got his own hook in.
Puritty picking his spots in this round, too, but again, being pretty effective with that. And Isaman doing a little bit less in this round. Heading for the end of the 2nd round, and this is one of those rounds very difficult to score, and you can't give away rounds in a 4-round fight. We'll be back.
I burn with desire.
Ross Puritty landing a counter jab as Isaman starts to throw the right hand, which actually is just the opposite of what he was trying to do earlier in the round, which is land a right hand over the jab of Isaman. These fighters are on a mission to screw me up today.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a plan. That's what they told us this morning.
They think that they can do any plan they want in there, and they're not conform to my commentary. All right. And the scoring, ladies and gentlemen, is I've given Isaman the first 2 rounds, and haven't had 2018. By the way, welcome back to Top Rank Boxing. We're happy to have you.
And it's nice to be back. Sort of missed my crew, my guys.
Well, we'll do lunch this week. Boy, what a round for Isaman. 21 out of 55. And again, Puritty landing at a very effective clip. It's just that he doesn't throw any punches.
And again, in a 4-round fight, you just have to do more. We were talking about the difference between amateur boxing and professional boxing, but there's also a difference between fighting 4 rounds and fighting 6, 8, or 10. That left hand might have hurt Puritty.
Well, certainly Ross Puritty has looked better, even though he is not doing too well in terms of maybe winning these rounds. He looked better than he did against Sargent, where it was he really was tired. But I'll tell you what, though, you just can't win, throwing 15 punches, 13 punches around. Unless he's trying to tire Isaman out here.
But even then, he would have to, if he went ahead and lost this round, he'd have to knock him out.
Sure.
Most of Isaman's punches are being caught, at least in part, on the gloves of Puritty. But again, Puritty just has to do more.
Well, Ross Puritty said he was learning in each fight. It almost looks like he's used this as a fight as a clinic on defense, or trying to perfect his defense because he's thrown so little.
It almost looks, when you watch him, like he's thinking about every movement. And of course, any fighter who has had any modicum of success will tell you that you can't do that.
True in any sport. True. You have to get past thinking about the fundamentals and do them, and that's only comes with a lot of experience. And of course, that's what Ross Puritty hasn't had.
Took a left to the body in exchange. Best exchange of the fight right here. Puritty trying to fight him, missing a lot, though.
Well, Ross Puritty said, it's time to get out of my cocoon. Throwing punches in a very strange fashion, and that right hand, he's got to get back and get better leverage on that right and throw it from a different posture, or he'll never land.
By the same token, Isaman did not land a lot either. He got that one in, though.
Ross Puritty almost looks to me like he tired himself out with all that.
End of the third, to think that Puritty's going to have to knock Isaman out to win the fight now. Or at the very least, knock him down.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Nah, take a deep breath. Now, D, when he gets wild like that, you understand? Don't get wild with him. When he gets wild like that, D, I just want you.
And a reminder, basketball coming away tomorrow night. Georgetown St. John's gets us underway on ESPN. They're number 25 in the country, playing at St. John's, the 18th ranked team. That's at 7:30. Then we take it to the Big Ten. It'll be Michigan State at Minnesota. That'll be at 9:30. Then number 1 UNLV against number 15 New Mexico State from Las Cruces, New Mexico. A lot of people think that might be a close game. I don't happen to be one of them.
UNLV hasn't had any close. Will the Spartans make the tournament?
The Aggies? Or the Spartans?
Michigan State.
They have a chance, I think, yeah.
Here we go.
You know, the thing that's going to help a lot of teams is that there aren't too many independents who are going to make it.
DePaul, probably, that's about maybe it. Not too many and more, huh?
In the third round,
Puritty upped his total and his percentage went down, but at least he landed a few more. But Isaman throwing a lot, not landing at a great percentage, and good advice from Joe Ferriello in the corner. When he gets wild, don't you get wild. You don't have to go with him. They want very much for Isaman to show his skills in every bout. And what you said, the comments you were talking about that Joe Ferriello made this morning, I think that's a real good attitude on their part. Do the fours until you know you're ready to step up. Don't let yourself be rushed. And in this age of television, right now here's Derek Isaman being seen across the country on national television at a stage when normally you'd be fighting in little arenas in the old days anyway, and almost nobody would be seeing you, so you get a chance to develop.
And I think he'd be the person who admit he has a lot to learn.
Yeah. Even though what he's doing is not at all bad or unprofessional, but he does need more. And there's a good uppercut by Puritty. He blocked this one, so he learned right away.
Left hand, but it was a slapping left hand by Puritty.
Derek Isaman's still working on the transition from offense back to defense, and that's obviously the hardest thing in boxing. And I think when people say, you know, they need a better defense for a boxer, what they really need normally is a better transition from offense to defense. Not that they can't block punches if they've got their hands up and they're in a posture to do it. It's getting back into that posture.
And again, that becomes instinct. That's just something that can only be done by a lot of work in the gym.
Yes. Well, it's been the kind of performance probably Derek Isaman would like. Ross Puritty has looked better than his last outing, so he did improve. It's just that he hasn't had the really the firepower to deal with Isaman here, and has not been able to throw and land enough punches.
Puritty grabbing Isaman's hand when he sticks the jab out, and then countering off it. I think both of them are a little bit tired here. I think Isaman's a little tired too. Like Isaman might have to work on his feet a little bit. So that's the end of that. And Joe Ferriello comes over, says you did what you had to do, and I think he did.
Of a workmanlike performance against this man, Ross Puritty, who showed, I think, some improvement, but clearly he's going to need to step things up quite a bit before he is ready to really compete on any kind of level. And you know what? Honestly, he is learning as a pro. This is true. But I'll tell you, and there you see the total. Wow. You know what's interesting about that? The numbers of punches landed by Isaman really pretty low, and I'm almost surprised.
All right, let's get the official word here from Michael Buffer. Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. All three judges, Paul Smith, Al Lefkowitz, and Bill Graham, scored about 40-36 for the winner by unanimous decision, Derek Isaman.
So Derek Isaman is a winner by unanimous decision. It's really a unanimous decision. He won every round on every card. So he is a winner, and we'll be back with more from Las Vegas after this. When we come back, we'll get started. Also